I wasted years in the gym, not because I was lazy, not because I had bad genetics, but because I followed terrible fitness advice that sounded good at the time. And the worst part, this advice is still everywhere today. You see it in TikTok and magazines, even coming from people in the gym who swear they know what they're talking about. So in this video, I'm breaking down the exact advice I wish I ignored when I first started training, and what you should do instead if you don't want to waste years like I did. I've been lifting for over 13 years, and trust me, I've tried every diet, program, and so-called hack. Most of it was garbage. But through trial and error, I figured out what actually works, and that's what I want to share with you today. So let's get straight into it. Here's the first piece of bad advice I wish I ignored when I first started my fitness journey. Bad advice number 1, you just need the perfect program. This one caught me bad. When I first started, I thought the reason I wasn't making progress was because I hadn't found the perfect program yet. So I'd waste hours online downloading every routine imaginable. Push-pull legs, bro split, full body, 6-day shred programs written by guys who probably don't even train. If it looked shiny, I tried it. And here's the thing, I kept switching before anything had the chance to actually work. This is where most beginners get trapped, thinking there's some secret formula out there, that if they just follow the exact right number of sets, reps, and rest days, their muscles will explode like fireworks. But here's the truth. Almost any decent program will build muscle if you actually stick with it long enough and push yourself hard. It's not about finding the perfect plan, it's about sticking to a good one and making it perfect by actually doing it consistently. But of course, I didn't know that. I was program hopping like a caffeine-crazed squirrel. And every time I got bored or I didn't see abs after 2 weeks, I'd convince myself the program was trash and switch. And every time I switched, guess what happened? Zero progress. Because my body never had the chance to adapt. So here's what I wish someone told me earlier. Stop searching for the magical program and start focusing on progression inside the program you're already doing. Whether it's 3 days a week or 6, push yourself harder on the lifts you're doing. Add weight, add reps, track it. Stick with it for months, not days. And that's when you'll finally see change. And don't worry, we'll talk later about how to know when it's time to change a program. Because yes, there's a right time, but chances are you're nowhere near that point yet. Bad advice number 2, supplements are the shortcut. Oh man, this one cost me so much money. When I first got into lifting, I thought the secret was hiding inside a tub of powder. Protein powder? Had to have it. Pre-workout? Couldn't train without it. Random muscle boosters with the names Mega Explosion 9000? Add to cart. I was basically running a science experiment in my kitchen. The shaker cup was my beaker and my wallet was the victim. Here's what I wish I knew earlier. Supplements are just that, supplements. They can help, but they're not the foundation. No amount of creatine or pre-workout pixie dust is going to fix a bad program, a lack of sleep, or the fact that you're eating like a bird. But fitness companies don't tell you that, because it's way more profitable to convince you that you're one scoop away from your dream body. And don't get me wrong, I'm not anti-supplement. I still use a few. Protein powder is convenient if I'm short on meals. Creatine works, period. But here's the loop I wish I knew sooner. None of those matter if you're not training hard, eating enough, and recovering. Without those basics, supplements are just expensive sprinkles on an empty plate. The crazy part? I used to be so focused on getting the right supplements that I ignored the things that actually mattered. I'd buy the latest formula but barely track my lifts. I'd have a shelf of powders but no progress in the mirror. It wasn't until I flipped the priority, food, training, sleep first, that supplements actually became useful instead of a money pit. Bad advice number 3, copy the biggest guy in the gym. When I first started, I thought the secret was just to copy whatever the biggest guy in the gym was doing. I'd watch some dude bench 4 plates, take notes on his workout, and try to do the same exact thing. The problem? I wasn't him. He had years of training under his belt, probably completely different genetics, and maybe even a little extra help, if you know what I mean. Meanwhile, I was struggling with the bar and wondering why I wasn't instantly jacked. Here's the problem with this advice. Just because someone looks strong doesn't mean their training plan is right for you. In fact, half the time those guys don't even have a structured plan. They just have been lifting long enough that they grow almost in spite of themselves. Copying their routine isn't going to shortcut your progress. If anything, it'll probably overwhelm you and leave you injured. I did this for years. If I saw someone with big arms, I'd copy their arm day. If I saw someone who was shredded, I copied their ab routine. And every time I got the same result, nothing. Why? Because instead of following a program designed for me, I was piecing together random workouts from people with completely different bodies, goals, and experience levels. Here's what I wish I knew earlier. Your results don't come from copying someone else's highlight reel. They come from sticking to a plan that fits your level, your schedule, and your goals. Beginners don't need some elite powerlifter's 6-day split. They need simple, proven movements repeated consistently with progression built in. That's it. Bad advice number 4, you need to confuse your muscles. When I first heard this one, I thought it sounded genius. Like, oh, my muscles are gonna get bored if I do the same workout, so I better keep them guessing. So every gym session turned into me inventing new ways to lift a dumbbell, half the time looking like I was auditioning for a circus act instead of training. Here's the reality, muscles don't get confused. They get stronger when you repeat the same basic movements and progressively overload them over time. Squats, presses, rows, deadlifts, boring? Maybe. Effective? Absolutely. The people who build real muscle aren't confusing their bodies. They're repeating the basics until they're really good at them. When I bought into this advice, my workouts were a mess. One week I was doing a drop set, the next week I was doing resistance bands, the week after that I was balancing on a stability ball trying to do curls. And you know what all that muscle confusion gave me? Confused results. Nothing stuck, nothing grew. What actually works is consistency. Pick a few proven lifts, stick with them, and push yourselves harder at them each week. Add weight, add reps, add sets. That's how your muscles adapt. Progress doesn't come from surprising your body like it's a birthday party. It comes from forcing it to adapt to a load it can't handle yet, over and over. So forget muscle confusion. Your muscles don't need magic tricks. They need repetition, consistency, and effort. Save the circus moves for the people trying to look busy in the gym. If you want results, master the basics and stick with them. Bad advice number 5, you have to eat clean 100% of the time. One of the worst pieces of advice I ever followed was that you have to eat clean all the time if you want to build muscle. Chicken breast, broccoli, rice, repeat, no cheat meals, no flexibility, just bland food on repeat. And yeah, technically you can build muscle that way, but let's be real, nobody can stick to that forever. It's miserable. I remember forcing myself to eat plain boiled chicken and dry rice thinking I was being hardcore. Meanwhile, I dreaded every meal and started associating fitness with punishment instead of progress. That's not sustainable. What happens? You eventually snap, eat half a pizza, feel guilty, and then spiral into thinking you ruined all your progress. Here's the truth. Your body doesn't care if your protein came from grilled chicken or a burger. What it cares about is that the total calories, protein, carbs, and fats you're getting over time. That's it. As long as most of your diet is made up of solid, nutritional, dense foods, you can still fit in things that you actually enjoy without sabotaging your results. In fact, giving yourself room for flexibility is what keeps you consistent long term. If 90% of your meals are solid, that last 10% can include foods that you can enjoy without guilt. That's how you actually stick to it, not by pretending you're a robot who loves dry tilapia every night. So no, you don't have to eat perfectly clean 100% of the time. You just need to eat consistently, hit your protein, and stay in your right calorie range for your goals. That's what builds muscle, not obsessing over whether or not your broccoli was organic. If this video provided you some value, hit that like button so the algorithm knows I'm not just screaming into the void. And subscribe, because trust me, you don't want to keep learning fitness the hard way like I did. Also, drop a comment telling me the worst piece of advice you ever followed. Bonus points if it's funnier than mine. Let's laugh at our bad choices together while we actually get results.